Our today's topic is time management. Time management has two components that contribute to your efficiency while solving evidence-based reading and writing questions. Let's take a step back and just recall what indeed evidence-based reading and writing is and what are the components of that portion of SAT. So indeed we have two modules of evidence-based reading and writing questions. Let's just call them verbal, right? Let's call that part verbal. So verbal is divided into two modules, and in each of them there are 27 questions and 54 questions overall. But now we'll be focusing on a single module. It doesn't matter the first or the second. It's applicable for both modules indeed. Uh, so it has two components. Your time management is divided into two components that will contribute to your efficiency while solving a verbal portion of your SAT test. The first one and the most straightforward one, in my opinion, is comprehension. The better your comprehension is, the better your uh, English proficiencies, the easier it's for you to understand what you're reading, and uh, the easier it's for you to choose the option. It means that you spend less time on a single question than the person whose English comprehension is worse than yours. But it's something that takes a lot of time to improve. So let's talk about pace today. So what's pace? Pace is your ability to work through the questions as efficiently as possible. It doesn't necessarily mean speed. Pace doesn't mean speed. And what I mean by that, if you guys are able to read something really fast, it doesn't mean that you understand it. But what's the point of reading without understanding? You indeed should find your own balance, find your own medium of your speed. For example, if you read too slowly, you won't be able to finish all the questions, but if you read too fast, you'll be just not able to understand it. So you have to find your own pace of reading exactly. Okay, but how do you come to that pace? First of all, guys, you have to develop a sort of a guideline for yourself. And let's now talk about that guideline. So, how do you approach a verbal section of your SAT? First of all, you divide it into two, as in the picture given. So, as overall, you have 27 questions, guys. We'll divide them into two, and the first portion will be three questions, words in context, and so it may really differ from 11 to 13 questions of writing questions. So what's the difference between words and context and another part of your reading part? So words and context, guys, they don't really require your comprehension as much as comprehension questions do. What I mean by comprehension questions, uh, these questions indeed, they heavily rest upon your understanding and your critical thinking as well. While words in context, they require only the knowledge of grammar and just a bit of understanding of what you are reading. Because most of all, you will have synonyms or just explanations, or probably so opposites of the word that you are looking for. So, as it's clear with words in context, let's now talk about writing part of our verbal section. Writing part is divided into three types of questions, and let me just rank them in order, rank them in terms of difficulty to be more specific. In my opinion, transitions questions, they are the most difficult ones. Why? Because they, as comprehension questions, they require quite decent level of English to understand them and to set the tone. And then comes to the notes. Even though they are easy most of the time and you can just spend only 30 seconds on them, sometimes they may require you to read bullet points, which can take extra time. And the easiest ones, in my opinion, would be standard English conventions. By that, I mean grammar questions, which test your grammar only. It means that you don't really have to pay attention to the context while reading, but only to the grammatical side of your passage. And there are indeed certain guidelines, I mean approximate timing that you should spend, but I personally advise you to solve them as fast as possible. And by them, I mean writing and words in context questions. And ideally, guys, you should spend no more than 12 minutes on both of them. And even if you spend 3 minutes per each writing per each words in context question, you'll be left with 9 minutes. And in my opinion, it's more than enough because I personally used to spend 7 to 8 minutes on all the writing questions, and it's indeed quite possible with a bit of practice, as you'll be spending no more than 20 seconds on an average English conventions question. But what's next? What we do next? Next, guys, there is that second part of our verbal section comes, which is indeed a comprehension questions, right? Comprehension questions, as I said before, they require a good comprehension. It means that they are the hardest ones, right? That's why we are keeping them for the end, right? So, and we may have 8 to 12 comprehension questions. In our case, we have, okay, let's say we have 12 questions, right? And that's quite a lot. So what we do, we are left, let's say, with 20 minutes and 12 comprehension questions. What you want to do, again, maintain the pace. Don't be stuck with one question. And if you see that you don't understand it after the second read, my personal advice for you, just mark it for review and go on, as you don't really want to sacrifice your flow for the sake of one question. And most importantly, don't freak out and don't panic. As it's really bad to not be, to not be able to answer one question, but it's a way worse to not be able to solve those questions that you are just about to solve, indeed, that are about to come. And you indeed can do nothing if you don't understand a certain portion of passage, but you can indeed still hope for best, in upcoming questions. And if you panic, if you freak out, your setup will be quite negative. So my advice for you, be mentally stable, and not understanding certain passage, it happens a lot and it's quite normal. Just mark it for review and go on. It happens with everyone. So yeah, just don't panic. And one more tip for you guys: don't spend more than 2 minutes on a single question. Again, if you see that you are not understanding a portion of a passage or the passage as a whole, or you are not understanding the options and you just have no idea how to solve that question, the best thing that you can do, just leave it for review, because you want to solve as much as possible. You don't have to do a perfect job, indeed. You don't want that 800 indeed in reading and writing, right? What you want, it's probably 700 or 750, right? But for that, you can indeed brush up your writing and words in context questions. And if you do a perfect job in these types of questions, you are pretty able to score 750. And a couple of more tips on comprehension, some advices that may indeed influence your comprehension indirectly. So, first of all, make sure that you read actively. Well, what I mean by reading actively, what most people do while first reading first, approaching an average SAT question, they read it as fast as possible, but they do not understand. Again, you are just wasting your time, and there is no point of reading without understanding it. And what you want to do, you should read a certain portion of a passage or each sentence and probably paraphrase it. And it's not something that you should do on a daily basis. Probably it's just it may take some time for you to get accustomed to it, and after some time you'll be automatically understanding what you are reading. So yeah, uh, the better you understand something, the less time you spend on it. And one more advice: don't read really fast. It's better to read really slowly, but understand everything that you are reading. And by reading slowly, you may indeed understand it with a one go, with one read, right? And it's a way better than reading it 3 times and still not getting everything. And that's it, guys. And what you should take from it, first of all, um, start with easy questions and try to solve them as fast as possible. And most importantly, do not spend too much time on comprehension questions, because even if you mark them for review, probably you'll have some time left and you'll be okay with it.